Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today I want to take a look at something that I've been getting a lot of comments from you guys about, and that is some supposed leaked dialogue from episodes 7 and 8 of Season 2, Wish World and the Reality War. Now, this has been surfacing all over Reddit, and I've even seen a couple of you guys putting the quotes in my comment section, so I thought, screw it, let's have a read of this leaked dialogue, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as to whether it's real or not. Obviously, as we don't know whether this is real or not, I'll put a potential spoiler warning here. So if you don't want any kind of information going into the finale, I completely understand. In which case, I would recommend clicking off this video. However, if you don't mind seeing a potential leak, or perhaps you've already read the dialogue leaks and you want to hear my thoughts, let's get going. I mean, we'll find out soon enough whether these are real, because chances are, if they are real, then they'll get taken down. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button, it'd be greatly appreciated. We are trying to get to 30,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and any support would be greatly appreciated in getting to that goal. We've just passed 26,400. Thank you all so much for your support, and let's dive right in. So I'm taking this from the r/Doctor Who News subreddit, from the user Fluid Bell. Warning, dialogue from the Season 2 finale has apparently leaked online. Spoilers beware. Okay guys, so over the past couple of weeks, Olika, who has been on the Doctor Who Discord and Gallifrey-based forums for a couple of years now, has posted a list of leaked dialogue that is allegedly from the final episodes of Season 2, Wish World and the Reality War. The strange thing is that the leaks were all screen grabs of French dialogue with timestamps, leading to our servers to believe that these are in fact French dubbing scripts from the Season 2 finale, which is sent to the studios before final cuts and edits are finalised, meaning that there is at least 55 minutes of footage in the cutting room. Dubbing dialogue is also something that has actually leaked online with previous episodes. The dialogue has now all been translated, so feel free to read it at your own risk. While some of it is rather cryptic, some can be considered rather spoilery. Okay, so according to this is like French dub dialogue that has been translated back into English. So I guess any potential mistakes in this we could put down to translation softwares, but let's have a look at this. So it doesn't actually list which episode's which, but it does list the time codes for each quote. So this is apparently at 38 minutes 19 seconds. Wish upon a star, wish upon a star, wish upon a star. So obviously we know that the penultimate episode of Season 2 is Wish World, so I'm assuming that it has something to do with that. It also feels like quite a Disney-related reference, with one of their main kind of motifs being wishing upon a star.
When you wish upon a star.
So part of me wonders if this is potentially Mrs. Flood making a meta reference to the Disney side of things, or whether this is potentially the Doctor figuring out how to escape the Wish World, perhaps maybe by wishing upon a literal star. After all, this series has kind of revolved around myths and legends coming to life, so maybe the ultimate myth would be to wish upon a star. Then at 1711, you've twisted the threads of life, death and order for years. Why can't I unspool the same defiance in my own creation? This, to me, sounds like a very Rani-ish line, so maybe Mrs. Flood, maybe talking about how the Doctor has had mastery over the universe for years, and now she wants to do the same. Same could go, to be fair, for Conrad. If the rumours are true that the world in this reality is essentially controlled by Conrad, he might be making the argument that, look, you as the Doctor have been able to do all these things, you've got time travel, you can change time if you want to, why can't I do the same? This definitely feels like villain dialogue. 1101. If you see this man, push the button. Understand? I have no idea what this is. At a guess, it could be a reference to Space Babies, because one of the recurring motifs in that episode is the idea of pushing the button. There was meant to be a song that tied into it that was then cut, and there were also rumours of the Space Babies making a return in the finale. But then we get to one of the most interesting lines: myths are just science in its infancy. This feels like a very Rani-ish line. The Rani, obviously her whole thing is based around science, so it makes total sense to me that she would see myths as just the early inception of science. That's a cool idea, and I like that as a line quite a bit. Whether it's real or not, we'll have to wait and see. 30 minutes 3 seconds. You had the chance to be so much more than that, something eternal, but you chose weakness. Now look at you, all these years later, still chasing ghosts, still clinging to a world that never wanted to be saved. you're just a child. Now this could either be the Rani talking to the Doctor, basically saying you could be eternal, immortal, a god almost, but you chose to chase ghosts and monsters, clinging to a world that didn't want to be saved. Or it could be one of the protagonists, maybe the Doctor, talking about Comrade, kind of saying, you know, this world didn't want to be saved by you, give up, essentially. Then we have 22 minutes, 21 seconds. They're still here, you know, scattered all around. I can smell them, hiding in the shadows like the cowards they are. At first I thought it was because of me, but now I think it's something else. Oh, you know, don't you? You finally know the truth. I have no idea what this line could mean, to be honest. Could be Conrad maybe mentioning maybe Unit being in hiding following the events of Lucky Day, potentially. 1438 is interesting because it's whatever happened to love thy neighbour. So my guess for this would be it's Mrs. Flood talking to either Ruby Sunday or Belinda Chandra, basically saying, you know, I'm your neighbour, you know, whatever happened to love thy neighbour, potentially if, you know, Ruby or Belinda are being mean to her or you know, trying to confront her in some sort of way. 29:21, subtlety is key, something he never seemed to understand. This very much again feels like a Rani line of her talking about the Doctor. This very much feels like a Rani or Mrs. Flood line again. I'm using that interchangeably because that's who my guess as to who Mrs. Flood is, talking about the Doctor, because the Doctor has never been subtle, and I feel like the Rani would point that out. 39:22, don't you understand? I did this for you, for all of you. A world that no longer needs the Doctor because I became the cure. I did what had to be done, I bore the burden, I crossed the line so you wouldn't have to. This feels like a Conrad line, basically saying, look, I made a world that doesn't need the Doctor. I became better than the Doctor, I did this for you. I created a better world. Almost a bit like a Thanos type line of thinking, which is interesting. 43:09, I'm here to take back the show, honey. I'm assuming this is the Doctor talking to one of the villains, maybe, you know, kind of reversing whatever they've done to the Earth. And maybe a slight kind of hint towards the TV show theory. 8:55, time dulls the gods, just as it makes forgotten truths impossible to ignore. 54:22, you are not alone, you never have been. We have walked beside you every step, every heartbeat, and we are here now until the end. So this line is very interesting to me because you are not alone is the quote obviously used to beckon the Master's return in Series 3. So this to me implies potentially, if I had to guess, and obviously most of this is just me guessing based off of these dialogue links, potentially an indication towards Gallifrey's survival or Time Lord survival post the events of the Flux and the Master's destruction of Gallifrey, potentially. And then 48:22, this is probably the one that I've seen talked about the most. Do you remember our tree, Grandpa? French translation. The one we planted the day we left. So a lot of people have guessed that this is basically Susan talking to the Doctor, basically saying, look, we planted a tree on Gallifrey before we left. The reason why I don't believe this one is because in episode 5, we see a tree being a big part of the plot in some of the latest images from Black Archive Gallery. So this is why I'm not fully believing this leak, because if you're to ask me, it looks like they've taken some stuff we already kind of know and are basically sort of creating an amalgamous finale based around that. I don't think this dialogue is real. I want to make that clear, but it's interesting to talk about. 53:16, by the way, I love the outfits. This could either be Mrs. Flood talking about the Doctor, or indeed the Doctor talking about Mrs. Flood, because both of them have very varied wardrobes. 9:15, the sis is a bit of a negative Nancy, isn't she? I have no idea what this could mean. 12:01, Nurse Who. This kind of works on two levels. On one level, it would be a reference, of course, to people calling the 13th Doctor Nurse Who, which, I mean, we've seen kind of tie in with episodes like Lux, you know, having the RIP Doctor Who hashtag in it, but also it feels like it would be a way of a character like Mrs. Flood or Conrad belittling Belinda Chandra, basically being like Nurse Who kind of thing. 10:01, we have Don't Follow Me. That could really be anything. 43:58, honestly, you both need to think long and hard about your taste in men. I'm assuming this is someone talking to Ruby and Belinda. Who this is, I'm not sure. Doesn't feel like something the Doctor would say. I know that much. But of course, obviously both of them have had dodgy boyfriends. Obviously with Belinda, it was Al Generator, and now with Ruby, we have Conrad as well. 15:08, but no, my dear, you just lack a little vision. Again, feels pretty Rani-ish. 12:08, look over there. and read what it says. Are you trying to get us killed? And then there's a line that's not been given a time code that says, what's a spoon? Now this is the other reason why I don't think that this is quite an accurate leak, because it's basically confirming the spoon theory. And if you don't know what the spoon theory is, the spoon theory was essentially the idea that whenever the gods show up, spoons are somehow related. For example, the Doctor first sees Maestro in a spoon, the Doctor uses a spoon to power the TV that then eventually leads to the demise of Sutekh, and a spoon is also what bounces the moonlight onto the projection that sort of animates Mr. Ring-a-Ding. I don't think that that's actually going to be a plot beat, and I think that's pretty much just a fan conspiracy. 1326, how long does the average pair of socks last? I have no idea in what context that would make sense. 5449, onwards. So this is towards the end of the episode. Perhaps we can assume that this is the final line of the episode, maybe even the 15th Doctor's final line of the episode, which, if this dialogue was accurate, which again I'm not convinced it is, could indicate a more open-ended ending minus the regeneration, because that doesn't particularly feel like a regeneration line. And then 4434, this is another one that I've seen people talking about a lot. From the void beyond the stars, through dark matter and burning skies, the first and the last shall rise, Omega, Omega. From the ashes of broken past, breaker of fates, creator of time, in fire, in storm, in a breath beyond space, return from silence, return from death, Omega hear us, Omega rise. So, I actually don't think this is real either, for a couple of reasons. As much as I think the idea of Omega returning is cool, and I would like it, I still think that there are some rights issues with Omega to do with... Okay, I'm coming back to record this later because my neighbour just started doing some random, construction work, drilling, so there was just, this massive noise in the background of the video, which I couldn't get rid of, so I'm recording the last part of this video now. But yeah, essentially the point I was making is that there's some rights issues to do with Omega. I believe the same estate that owns him also owns K9, which explains that weird K9 show and movie that was supposed to get off the ground years ago. So I'm still not convinced about an Omega return. And additionally to that, I think that it's a bit too similar to the line of dialogue that resuscitates Sutekh, that foreshadows Sutekh's return in Legend Review Sunday. You could say that that's RTD being unoriginal, but I don't know. I feel like this is just an educated guess to me. 40 minutes 21, wait, we can work together. I know things. The Daleks, they've gone quiet. They're planning something, I'm sure of it. I can help you. Please, Doctor, we don't have to be enemies. See, this is why I don't believe this one as well. I just don't see, from everything we know about the finale, where the Daleks factor in, and it just feels like fandom wish fulfillment to be like, oh yeah, the Daleks are in this one as well. I don't know. 12:15, Shirley, it's me, Ruby Sunday, how can you not remember me? This one actually seems fairly, likely as a line. I mean, it's a bit weird that she addresses her by her full name, but maybe that's to do with French translation. But, I can actually see this one if, they're in a different reality where perhaps they never met. Sure, that would make sense. 36:16, I guess it's time for me to go. Think of me, okay, as you live your life one day at a time. This just feels too similar to, at the end of Dragonfire, talking to Mel. Maybe it's a direct reference to that. Maybe it's the Doctor saying goodbye to Mel, perhaps. But I don't know. 48:43, we promised we'd be back, didn't we? To make sure it had everything it needed. But we never did we? We never quite found the time. Well, last I heard, the tree was one of the tallest and most beautiful on Gallifrey. And then the person says, I believe the last one is a continuation, so the full line would be, do you remember our tree, grandfather? The one we planted the day we left? We promised we'd go back, didn't we? To make sure it had everything it needed, but we never did we? We never quite found the time. Well, last I heard, it was one of the tallest and most beautiful on Gallifrey. Again, I don't think this is real. I know a lot of people are saying that they think it is. I don't think this is, because also, how could the tree have survived if Gallifrey was completely decimated off the map by the Master? I don't know. It just, last time we went there, Gallifrey wasn't exactly in great shape. So, I don't know. Maybe there's something to it, but I'm pretty sure this leak is bull. Could be wrong, but that's my thoughts on it. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this leak. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.